Okay, hello students. This is your first lesson that I want you to watch before you have class tomorrow. So we're going to do a quick lesson on grammar. It won't take too long, so just pay attention and try to understand everything. So let me share my screen so that you can see what we're doing here. Okay, we are on page 128 of your textbook, and we are going to focus on the continuous aspect of grammar. So first, it's important to understand what this word aspect means. Basically, an aspect is the way we look at something. And when we talk about verb tenses, we have three separate aspects. We have simple, continuous, and perfect. The simple aspect usually emphasizes that an action is complete. The perfect aspect usually emphasizes that an action is completed before another time. A lot of time when we talk about that perfect aspect or the perfect tenses, that means that there's two actions that happened and one happened before the other. But the one we're focusing on today is continuous aspect. And when we talk about the continuous aspect, of course, we have present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous. Some of your teachers in the past might have called this progressive. It means the same thing. But when we talk about the continuous aspect, it usually focuses on the action and how long that action lasts, otherwise known as its duration. And so the focus is not so much on the result, it's really on how long it lasts. And it's often used to show that an activity is temporary and that its duration is limited. In other words, it doesn't go on forever and ever. In contrast to the continuous aspect, we usually use the simple tenses to talk about facts and permanent situations, finished actions, and habits. So make sure that you can really know the difference here between simple and continuous. Excuse me. Some verbs, called state verbs, follow a special rule, and these rules really are not used in this continuous aspect. So when we have these state verbs, verbs like love and prefer and hear and smell and believe and understand, usually we avoid using them in the continuous aspect. And I'll provide a list of these dative verbs for you that you can study on your own to make sure you know which ones you should not use in this continuous aspect. So let's look at some examples. We use the continuous aspect to talk about several things. First thing, when we're talking about actions that we see happening over a period of time. So they've been waiting here for an hour. So this whole hour they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So it's over that period of time. So especially when you get this for in a period of time, that's a big hint that you're going to be using continuous aspect. We also use it when we talk about actions in progress when another thing happens. And so you can see John was crying when I arrived. So he was crying, and then that was interrupted by me arriving. And so that action that was happening before another thing happens or when another thing happens, it gets the continuous action, and the part that interrupts it is usually in the simple form. We also talk or use continuous aspect when we're talking about temporary or incomplete situations. He's living with his parents until he can find a house. So he's doing that right now, but he's not going to be doing it forever. It's just for a short time, hopefully. No one likes to live with their parents too long. Okay, and next is using it as a repeated action, especially when you're talking about an action that's annoying. She's always playing her music loudly. So that means when we use this in the continuous aspect, she plays her music loudly so often that it just starts to become annoying. And notice we use that word always in there and continuous tense to kind of indicate that it's something annoying. I might say, my children are always leaving dishes in the sink. So it's kind of that thing that they do over and over again that just starts to get annoying. We can use the continuous aspect in situations that are in the process of changing. The economy is getting worse, so it continues to get worse and worse and worse, so it's in this process. We can use it for plans. Often, especially, we use it with past continuous. I was thinking of going home this weekend. So it's kind of like that was what I was planning to do. We can use it with tentative ideas. Tentative means it's something that you're really not sure of or you're kind of hesitating to do. And this really means that you're trying not to be too direct. So if I ask you something, I was wondering if, so we use that past continuous there when I'm going to ask you for a favor that I don't want to be too direct. I was wondering if I could borrow some money. Or you might ask me, Mr. Michael, I was wondering if you could postpone the exam until next week. So we're trying to be a little bit more polite with that. And then actions in progress at a particular time. So very similar to actions in progress up here. But when it's at a particular time, also we use that continuous. Everyone seems to be working at the moment. So those are the main ways that we use the continuous aspect. You guys have learned about continuous many times, past continuous, present continuous, and future continuous. So this is just revision. So what I want you to do is go ahead and do this practice. I'll put it on your Teams page. And you go ahead and put the answers onto your private channel. And then after you send me the answers, I will send you the correct answers. And you can see if you got them all right or not. All right, thank you for listening, and ask me any questions that you have before class tomorrow. So when you come to class, it'll be very simple and you'll be able to understand it. Talk to you later. Bye.